the whole time.
Well, it wasn't enough for them. You know, so.
We were out, I think, in faster and more,
There were people putting word out that didn't need to be putting word
Yeah.
out. That was part of the problem. They were telling people that all the water was contaminated in the district, and that was just not true. And yet, I mean, I don't know where they got the information. They shouldn't be putting that out until they knew for sure what was going on.
Their employees are unionized, SEIU, they get way more money, you know, because it's union. So that's their problem, all right.
yeah, so those are good things. I'm gonna add that to my list, because if I had had direct communication with at least the member of board of supervisors for our area, in, you know, of course, on the Tolman County side, John Gray reached out to me, but that's just the nature of the relationship there. We'll see. We can always make those things better. I probably could have engaged other networks that I don't know very well about. If there are some, either through the church or some other means to be able to get messages out. You know, those are the kind of things that if we have any ideas, let's have a conversation about them, and we can always improve it. Because I'll tell you, from the operations side, we did everything that we could, and I knew we were gonna have good samples. I mean, I knew.
Yeah.
And we were hounding the lab and trying to get the state.
Somebody was putting word out that none of the water was, you couldn't use the water for bathing, you couldn't use, and that applied to the entire district. And that, I don't know where that came from, but I don't know how you would stop something like that.
It came from one person that swore to me that they called the answering service twice and got the same message. They called it once and couldn't believe it, and so they called back, got a different person, got the same message, and so because we weren't posting it, they put it out on
Facebook.
Yeah. To make sure that people were safe. In reality, what they didn't realize is that every conversation that comes into the answering service is recorded. And I'll tell you, I have no evidence that there was anything other than good information delivered. And go to the district's website, look at their notice.
Well, I have to say, I was surprised at how quickly you guys had the water fixed, and I didn't get any complaints from anyone, so.
It would have been a lot faster, actually, is what we were waiting for, was the results for the bacteriological samples. Because the water restoration was actually within 3 or 4 days, but it was, you know, we had to wait 24 hours for each round of testing, 2 rounds of testing for each site. So that took another 3 or 4 days just to get the results back before the state would let us, you know, lift the do not drink order. But it actually would have been done a lot faster and a lot less chaos and pandemonium, and you know, stop the ruin mills a little faster. It was just, but that's the protocol. There's a 24-hour, exact 24-hour turnaround for those samples. If we delivered them at 12:30, it's 12:30 the next day before they'll give us the answer. And so
You gotta do that twice?
4 times.
4 times?
Yeah.
That's like 4 days.
Yeah.
So the question comes to my mind, I mean, regardless of, I'll say the negativity that someone might think, could we have speeded up the process any, what would another agency, would they be at the same mercy that we were at? I mean, or?
The only thing that could have gone any faster was the repairs working 24 hours around the clock. If we were to bring in generator lights, things like that, you know, I mean, that would have sped up. But regardless, the state will not, and the lab will not go any faster than a 24-hour test.
Okay.
That's as fast as that part goes.
Well, I mean, so it would maybe would have saved another day or something?
It possibly could have saved another day. You know, the real hinder was we couldn't locate the problem. There was so much water everywhere, we didn't know where the break was,
Right.
because we had to wait for the water to recede to find out.
Right.
We knew what area, but when you're talking about a pressure zone that a whole tank feeds, it's a huge area. I
Mhm.
mean, it could be only 2 streets wide, but almost a whole subdivision long. Whereas some pressure zones are more concentrated to just, like a couple of streets, and had we known this tank is empty, but we can't get nowhere because the roads are flooded and we don't know what the problem is. So it took to the next day to figure out, okay, there you go, there's your problem, so it could have been done faster, but we were at the mercy of Mother Nature and the state's regulations.
Laredo, which was the bad one, most people, was actually fixed Saturday afternoon. It took all day, all night Saturday night, and Randy and I had a conversation that night, and then first thing in the morning, and Alamo Tank had a 1.5 feet or 2 feet or something. I mean, there was very little water. And I'm thinking, okay, we got another break somewhere else. But Randy was right, he said, let's just let it keep going and see where it goes. And by Sunday evening, it was obvious we were gonna be full up, But at that point, that's when we had to start making sure that people knew that if now they come home, they got water pressure, they never knew they lost pressure, whatever, what do I do? So it was
And the restoring of the water takes actually a pretty long time in itself. Because you can't just say, okay, it's fixed, turn it on. You have to go hydrant by hydrant, street by street, and bleed the air out of the lines very slowly until you get everything full, then you can open up your valves, start filling your tanks. Otherwise, you're just creating more problems for yourself
Airlocks and.
when you get airlocks or water hammers or anything else.
So, the controversy here we've had over the fire, how many fire hydrants did you have to, I'll say, operate to remove air? Don't be, I throw a number out there that
I would say probably 30.
okay, and they all work?
Yeah.
Good. I mean, that's, I'm only saying that because we've had all this dialogue on the maintenance and so on. So they did work to do, and they did seal off, and they did pump water, they did what they're supposed to do
Right.
in an emergency basis.
We did identify one street valve that doesn't work,
Okay,
so that kind of created a bigger area for us to have to shut down.
Right,
Other
yeah.
than that, the hydrants work, no problem. There's really nothing to maintaining a fire hydrant.
right.
All there is inside of a fire hydrant is a breakaway button.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this before.
And it's like a kitchen faucet, the old style that just screws down onto a valve seat and then lifts up. It's really that simple.
Well, I just think we need to, take advantage of the communication that you're sharing, that I bled the air. Well, someone might say, okay, how'd you bleed it? You said, well, I used the fire hydrants and they all work. So we didn't identify a fire hydrant that wasn't working as a positive, regardless of how many you did.
Right.
So, okay, very, very insightful.
You guys did a great job of communicating with me and working toward an end result. We did have a 2-day delay in ordering the length of steel pipe that we use for casing in a ranchito. Otherwise, we would have probably cut the time down by a couple days, just because the state would have let us they wanted us to lift the order at the same time for everywhere. And they were gonna actually let us sample less down at Ranchito if we could just get it done, but the pipe didn't come in, and once it got
We
in.
could have done just a simple replacement like we did on Laredo, but it was everyone's initial, in our first meeting of what we're gonna do, with myself and the county and whatnot, we knew that we had to get the water line back in. But we were gonna do it in a fashion that it's gonna be done as fast as the district can do it, but in a way that not only is this never gonna happen again by the design that we came up with, but the county still needs to put their road and their culvert back in. So this isn't gonna be a temporary, like, the county's getting all their praise for, oh, well, the county got their water, so the wastewater done in a day, why is the district not getting theirs done? Well, because ours is a little more lengthy process, and it's gonna be a one-time fix. This is never gonna happen again, and even if the, whatever contractor comes out to put that culvert, the road back in, they can beat and bang on it all they want, it ain't going nowhere. Our pipe is always gonna be secured and protected in that area. So it took a little longer for the ordering of that 60 feet of 16-inch pipe, but it's never gonna have to be done again. So,
Thank you all for all the information. Well, that moves us on to 5B. It's kind of a no-brainer after what we just saw. This is modified the budget to cover these emergency costs that we just went over and reviewed, so.
So I'll move approval, and, do I need to read the motion?
you
No,
can-
just if you
Approval
approve
of
the
the recommend-
recommended motion.
Second,
Second the recommended motion.
Emery second. Any public comment on this? No? All in favor? Unanimous vote. Okay, moving on to item 5C, amended engineering budget for the barge renovation, which I show as page 27 and 28.
Okay.
Again, this is, we've authorized, you see on page 28, if you get your
Yes.
lighted magnified readers out, because even I can't read it, but we approved a contract with Kenny Jinks for the design work associated with the barge. It's not that they've consumed that entire amount yet, but they will. And there were a couple of add-ons that came about, as Randy had talked about, extending the deck so that there's ample room in the front to move around, to be able to make
What
the
did
connection.
you initially authorize, do you remember?
25,
And now what are we looking at?
32, 31,660. I mean, it's, again, it's, if it goes over that, we'll just, we have money in the budget, but I'm gonna try to keep it within that amount of money, but not sacrifice, the other thing that was of concern was that we didn't have in that budget, we had strict design budget, but we didn't have any construction contingency. It's not really a construction project, it's a fabrication project, but when they start tearing this apart and moving things around and setting things in, there's always a possibility that something needs to be redesigned right now while they got it torn apart. And I've got the option of either saying, okay, we're gonna do it without professional design, and just get it done, in which case, the engineer is gonna say, well, it couldn't be built as it was designed, you told me not to design another fix, and if it fails, then you've got kind of an argument about that. We hope that it can be built just exactly as it was designed, and the motors come out and everything's good, but that provides us a little bit of flexibility there and the ability to be able to design that.
And again, this is just for the design.
Yes,
This is not the construction of it.
right. The construction, we authorized, I believe, at the last board meeting, and unless there are some change orders with that, that should be the end-all number for that construction.
You know, they say you have 2 happy days of your life, the day you buy a boat and the day you sell the boat. And I heard the dialogue here about, this is version 3 of the barge. And I don't know what's happened in the past. I know, I think I was on the board when it was recommended that we buy this barge, but we never went to the length of degree of designing something to be functional. So I know it seems like a lot of money, but if you think about it, these guys are out there, their safety and being able to work safely and efficiently. I don't think you can, the words that come to mind is I don't think you can spend too much to do it right the first time, and I don't think we've ever done it right the first time. So hopefully, third time's the charm maybe, so,
We've also got our operators involved in this as well, too, so.
Yes, yeah, Randy's been intimately involved both with working with the marina and design review and the logistics of how it's gonna function and what needs to be there from a safety and operations perspective, which
So we're not gonna have a sinking barge.
that is one of the most amazing pieces of military equipment I've ever seen. I don't know how you would sink that thing. If it ever sunk, it's gonna look like that ship at Seacliff Beach or whatever it is, the cement boat.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go there.
No, it's everything from sandblasting and recoating, you know, on to keep the structure in place because it is a steel structure, but it doesn't show any signs of wear or corrosion now, but when we cut into it and reconfigure it, it will. That all of that's gonna be recoated. The surface of the deck, which is a big expense, is gonna be coated with an anti-skid compound, rubber compound that is gonna make it much more safe.
Knowing that we only have one pump at intake, and this, you know, I mean, this is really, if we lose that one pump at intake, this is our lifeline. When and if we ever get those intake pumps redone, is it recommended that you put this barge in dry storage, or is it recommended that you leave it in the water? What's their recommendation on that aspect of, I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Recommendation would be dry storage,
Okay.
pull it out if it's not needed.
Okay.
But that's just gonna be an expenditure for the district, because even though it's only going a couple hundred yards, it's still $1,800 or so to have it pulled out and, you know, put back in, so.
Yeah, but to me, $1,800 is minimal expense if it saves us more in the long run. You know,
Right.
what's the payback, what's the delta there, you know? Put it in storage, cover it real good, everyth's protected, the sun's not beating on everything. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think we'll be there anytime soon. But I just was curious what the recommendation is to, you know.
My recommendation is definitely dry storage.
Okay.
Not only because if we're not using it, there's no need for it to just sit there and possibly rust and sink.
Right.
But then again, you also have your pumps and your motors.
Right.
If they are sitting in the water unoperated, they will seize, just like we've seen with the ones that we just have taken off.
Well, the other thing is too, if it's in dry storage and we need any service work on the pumps or motors, you can get it done and
Right.
make it, you know, where we're ready to go again.
Right.
Okay. All right, I need a motion.
I'll move approval on
Modifying.
modifying the float,
Sorry.
barge.
Second is Emery. Public comment? No? Okay, all in favor?
Well, wait a minute, back to the board, because I have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
You know, I'm sure MID wouldn't let us do this, but you know, like an oil derrick kind of thing, why couldn't we just anchor that thing out there permanently, run a line in permanently, all this hooking and unhooking to go out, just have it out there and leave it out there. Far out as you can get, to the deepest point, just like an oil derrick or something else. This is a lot of work, it seems like, and unhook and have that line forever. I mean, it'd be the deepest point, anchor it out there, that's it, you know, instead of this barge in and out, and all motors and no motors, just an oil derrick or a water derrick, whatever you want to call it, like they do in, you know, anywhere else when they, you know, drill. Ours would just be sucking water out of the lake and that'd be the end of it. Leave it there year round and it'd be high and dry maybe sometimes, or in water. End of story. That's what I would work towards. You know, to me, this seems like a lot of, I mean, I'm glad we're doing it, but this barge thing, to me, has always seemed kind of Mickey Mouse. You know, hooking together to take it out, unhooking it to, you know, just leave it out there permanently. Hook it up to one of the main lines, that's it. Done, forever. That's my idea. But anyway, yes, I'll vote for it.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Unanimous.
Could I answer
yeah,
your question?
no, I can't, you can't.
And I don't know it was really factual, but I asked a question very similar to that
Huh?
back in 2005
Yeah.
or 6. Bob Kent told me that the MID did not want
Visual.
peripheral stuff. Well, he didn't say visual, he just said things that could be of any danger, things of that nature in the lake.
Yeah,
And so that was the reason you could not have.
but when we're doing it, it's in the lake.
I'm sorry?
But when we're doing it, it's.
Yeah, but that's necessary then, because we can't, he's just saying that, you know, and that was what he told me, or as I understood what he
Yeah,
told me.
well, maybe that's
You know, if you
it.
think about it, I mean, as I listened to you, my thought was, when you get it out there so far, that thing would be sitting out in the middle of the lake. So
Yeah.
somebody on a sea-doo
Yeah.
boat could run into it real easily, and then what's our liability or what's their
Well, what
liability?
we have to do, like they do with these cell towers, make them look like palm trees and make them look like a rock.
Okay. Okay, item 5D.